Hey guys, just wanted to do my reaction video for Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 3, The Queen's Justice, where we get to finally see Dany Targaryen and Jon Snow meet for the first time, and we'll see how that plays out. Okay guys, on second thought, I'm not going to be able to do a reaction video because, like I said, the last couple of videos have been having technical difficulties, so I'm just going to do a straight up review of Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 3, Queen's Justice. So basically, Jon Snow and Davros arrive at Dragonstone to meet with Dany and company, and neither one of them have very little respect for one another, just because it's like, oh, this is Jon Snow, like he's just become like this leader of the North, and he's basically just this like illegitimate son of Ned Stark, who basically was complicit, who basically was turned the blind eye to an assassination attempt on Dany when she was just a child, and she was forced to leave Dragonstone at a young age and been subjected to rape and slavery and all the other crap that we've all seen throughout this several seasons of Game of Thrones, and even prior to, and what she's mentioned prior to that. She feels like she's earned the right to become the Iron Throne because it's like she's been through enough crap that she's fought her way out of all of this and trying to be a revolutionary, freeing the Dothraki and everything, just because she's very much earned this throne. It's not until Jon Snow informs her of that, but at the same time, she's too pig-headed to listen to Jon Snow's concerns about the White Walkers and basically she's like, oh, that's ridiculous, and that's a myth. Like the idea of like the undead coming to attack us is absurd, which is basically like a facepalming moment because like you're the mother of dragons. You're like the person who was like who like everybody thought dragons were kind of extinct, and like you're the mother of three full-grown dragons, and it's like you think, and then all of a sudden like White Walkers are a stretch all of a sudden, which is why Tyrion is the one who tries to act like a mediator between the two, saying that, oh, because they've been so concerned with trying to get to Cersei that they don't want to believe it because they want to have like another pressing matter on their hands. And Tyrion agrees to talk to Dany, and Dany agrees to let Jon mine for the Dragon Glass to help him take on the Walkers, because the White Walkers, because of the fact that she's gotten wind of the great Euron like capturing like the people from Dorne, and Theon, and Yara and Theon going missing, and he gets found by the loyal Ironhide fleet, who says, and Theon tries to say like, oh, he tried to save her, and they're like, okay, come on, if you tried to save her, then you never would have, you wouldn't be here right now. And they're being like, they're kind of like, not like chokers, but kind of just being like dragged through the streets, and it's like people are pelting them with food, and Euron is trying to. He says like, "Oh, I brought your enemies to you, and now he's hoping to get some action from Cersei." And she says, "You're only gonna get that's only gonna happen once we win the war." And then you have Then you also have like another. Then you also have the other issue where Grey Worm and his fleet are trying to lead their ways to Castle Rock, and Tyrion has secretly opened up an entrance through the sewers that allows a few of the soldiers to sneak in and allow the other members of the fleet to sneak in and overcome it. But it turns out that Jaime has anticipated this happening, and he allowed them to take Castle Rock because it's worthless, and then they're overcome by Euron's army, and basically Jaime and his fleet army end up taking over Olenna Tyrell's kingdom, and because her fleet's not very powerful, that it gets overtaken quickly, and she realizes it's over. And Jaime is able to convince Cersei to give Olenna a merciful death by giving her a slow acting poison. But just to stick it to Jaime, she confesses that she was the one responsible for poisoning Joffrey back in season 4, and it kind of hits him like a ton of bricks. And he says like, no, and those were like her last words, and it's like, I want you to go tell your sister and make sure she knows that, and taunts him about saying that Cersei's a monster and she's corrupted him and she's gonna be his downfall. And you also have Sansa showing like great leadership abilities, talking about how they need to worry about the rations over in Winterfell, and how they have to put fur on the armor for for knights, and Littlefinger advising her that you have to be mentally prepared for every battle, every outcome, and think about them in current time, so else nobody can be able to take you by surprise. And then Bran finally shows up, and it's kind of creepy because of the fact that I guess after becoming the Three-Eye Raven, you can tell he's become very like emotionally detached, especially considering it's like Sansa just basically almost just breaks down at the sight of seeing him for the first time and such in a while, and it's just like he just seems like he has no like emotional reaction to it. And then he keeps talking about how he's become a Three-Eye Raven. Now it's complicated for him to explain to her, and but then it's like he keeps talking about like her wedding night, with how he knows about their wedding night with Ramsay, and he keeps talking about it in a casual manner, and I kind of like, she's clearly visibly shaken because this is the same night that it's like Ramsay raped her and continued to rape her. If you watch season 4 like multiple times, that it's like I have to go. And of course Bran wants to talk with Jon Snow, because as we found out through his little multiple vision quest through last season, we realized Jon Snow is just the half brother of Dany, as well as not really Jon Snow's illegitimate cousin. Not Jon Snow is not Ned Stark's illegitimate child, but actually the nephew, and that I'm pretty sure the mother was Ned Stark's sister, as well as the Mad King's illegitimate son. And then of course you have Cersei, who has this like really sadistic moment where it's like you're kind of put in a weird place where it's like, oh yeah, she's a psychopath, but it's like you almost sympathize for her, but considering Illyria, I think it was Illyria, and like her daughter Theon, or at least Theon was responsible for taking some poison where he kissed Cersei's daughter and was responsible for poisoning her. So she was able to recreate the same poison and use this quote unquote kiss on death on Theon. And she and her mom are chained up. The other people of Dorne down in the dungeon of King's Landing, and just as punishment, Cersei's going to force the mom to watch her daughter die slowly of the poison, as like an eye for an eye. And Sam, who's responsible for saving I think Jorna of his stone skin affliction. He's complimented for taking such a risky procedure that most people have failed at, and succeeding. But at the same time, it's like, oh, we need you to copy all of these like scrolls of information. And like at first he was thinking like, oh, he expected a reward, and he says like, your reward is that you're not going to be like expelled from here. So that's pretty much sums up everything that happened. Like I said, the show's getting pretty good. I guess my biggest anticipation is, now that Bran is at Winterfell, is he going to ever have a chance to tell Sansa or Jon Snow about his true origin, about the latter's true origins? How long is Sansa going to stay in power at Winterfell? Like, how much is you know Littlefinger going to take advantage of her being in a position of power, because then he can be his right her right hand man. And now considering what's Dany going to do then, now knowing that all she has is her dragons left. Grey Worm's army has been overtaken by Euron's army. Theon's missing. Yara, the Dorne have been captured. So it's like all she has left are her dragons. And given in the second episode, one of his advisors told him of the crossbows that can be used to take down the dragons. And even though Dany wants to go searching for the rest of her fleet herself, she's in danger of getting assassinated, and then there's no one can stand against Cersei. So I'm surprised at how the writers have been able to level the playing field, even though you would think at the end of season 6, they have this huge armada, and the only thing keeping them from taking King's Landing so soon was that Dany not wanting to be her father's daughter and just being mass murderer just for commit mass murder for the sake of getting into power. And how soon are the White Walkers going to show up, and will Jon Snow be able to get the weapons and utilize them in time? So like I said, this is a great show. It never fails to impress me. This was another great episode. But how do you guys feel about it? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe. Again, I apologize for not doing a reaction video due to the technical difficulties. I'll hopefully be able to work them out. I'll try to work them out. And I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.